Alright, this is going to be a review of Bravely Default for the 3DS. Now, I was extremely hesitant to pick up this game. I have been really disappointed with what Square Enix has been doing ever since Final Fantasy X. I think the only good game out of that whole bunch afterwards was Dissidia. But, it got to the point where I just said I'm not buying any more new games from them. In fact, I think the last one I got was Final Fantasy XII, or maybe it was Tactics Advance 2. But, yeah, I kept hearing a lot of positive response about this, about how it's an old-school Final Fantasy style game, really similar to Final Fantasy V, so I decided to break down and give it a try, and boy, I'm glad I did, because this was a fantastic game, one of the best RPGs I've played in a long time. So the story starts off with Tiz. He's a farmer in Norende, and a great chasm opens up in his village and just destroys the whole thing. He survives, of course, and soon meets up with Agnes, who is a wind vestal. And soon after, he decides to go with her and awaken all the crystals. And then shortly after that, you meet up with Ringabel and Idia, who are your 4 party members for the rest of the game. Now, the story, it starts off as your typical old-school Final Fantasy, save the crystals kind of game. But takes a really nice turn at the halfway point of the game, but it's also kind of a what the fuck moment. And then it also has a really nice ending as well. So overall, I enjoyed the story quite a bit. Now, the voice acting I think is really good, but one problem I think the game does have is it's not mixed very well. Like, the voice acting sounds really quiet in the mix, and sometimes it's just overpowered by the music. Of course there are subtitles, so you can just read those, but, minor nitpick, not a big deal. Now, the gameplay. This is where the game really shines. It's your typical, Final Fantasy battle system. You select turns for all 4 of your party members, and, when you're done selecting turns, everybody goes based on agility or speed or whatever. But there are some modern twists to it. One is the use of braving and defaulting. And defaulting is kind of like a defend command. However, it, in addition to decreasing damage, on your next turn you'll also be able to take an extra turn, which is very nice. And you can stack up to 4 turns at once, and then take them all at once. Same thing with braving. You actually don't have to default to take 4 turns at once, but you run a serious risk with that, because if you brave 4 times, that character is then going to be vulnerable for the next 4 turns, because he doesn't have any brave points to take a turn. So it's a very nice risk-reward system. I like it a lot. And with a lot of the random battles, you can just brave all 4 of your party members 4 times and just plow through them. But the boss battles, they require a lot of strategy. I really enjoyed the boss battles quite a bit, because they always had like a new trick up their sleeve, be it a status effect, or calling in support members, or just manipulating the brave and default system. So yeah, very, very cool system. And another part of the gameplay is the job system, which is a lot like Final Fantasy V, but it's also a lot better. And Final Fantasy V was a great job system. This just takes it to the next level. There's some great jobs to choose from, really, really cool abilities, and some of them do tie into the whole brave default thing. So yeah, just really well done. And then on top of all that, you also have the option to go online with the game and kind of summon in your friends to do an attack on the enemy, or even heal your party members. So that's a really cool feature. And this game does have a kind of limit break system to it. I think it's just called special attacks off the top of my head. I actually beat this a week ago. Yeah, but it's based on what weapon you equip, and there's various circumstances to activate each special attack. So in a way, it's kind of like Final Fantasy X, because there were all those different ways you could activate your overdrives. Graphically, this game looks beautiful. I am a new 3DS owner, so I can't really compare it to much, but I really enjoyed the graphics quite a bit. They looked great, and the 3D effects, while I generally didn't play with 3D on, they worked really well when I did use it. Now, music in this game was done by Revo, and I haven't researched this, so sorry. But I don't know if Revo is like a company or if it's like a person, but it's a very good soundtrack done by Revo. One thing is there's not that many tracks in it though, so it does get kind of repetitive. And I found that while the tracks are all good, there's nothing of that kind of legendary status as like a One-Winged Angel or, you know, any of Yasunori Masuda's work on Xenogears or Chrono Trigger. So, you know, a very solid soundtrack, and it's memorable, but it's just not, you know, amazing. One thing I forgot to mention with the gameplay is there is that story twist about halfway in the game, and it's at that point you feel like you kind of have to kind of abuse the game's mechanics. And one thing I forgot to mention too with the battle system is you can, you know, greatly increase the battle speed where you can fly through battles in seconds. Well, when you get that story twist halfway through, it's almost like the game forces you to, you know, do battles as fast as you can and brave 4 times. For spoiler reasons, I can't say exactly why, but you're going to want to do that eventually. The game is fairly long. It really depends how long it is on, you know, whether or not you speed up battles or just play it the traditional way. Overall, it's just a fantastic adventure. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Love the graphics, music, story, characters. Yeah, there's very little I can complain about with this game. It's one of the best RPGs I've played in quite some time. Highly recommended. I know a lot of people have this already, but if you don't and you're on the fence about it, get it. Especially if you like Final Fantasy V. But yeah, that'll do it. So, hope you enjoyed the review, and thank you for watching.